Hello and welcome to the Long Couch. My name's Carl. I'm joined tonight by Mel.
I have no funny comments to make for now.
And
we'll get the ball rolling and see how that changes, though.
And on tonight's episode, we will be discussing dead games. But first,
hell yeah.
But first, let's talk about some memes. Then versus now. We're going to play a little game here. I'm going to make you choose between an old style of meme, a contemporary meme, if you will, and a modern meme.
All right, I'm down for it. I'm ready for it.
So back in my day, in 2008, 2009?
Sure.
Memes used to be predictable and understandable at a glance, right? You had
They were formatted.
Yes, they followed a predictable format, mostly. You had things like Bad Luck Brian and Success Kid. And, if you saw one of those, the joke was going to follow a certain template.
Yes.
Very digestible for an old man like me. We also, for instance, had things like Rage Comics, which reused a lot of the same goofy little illustrations to make a dumb little comic. With a little, dumb punchline like Forever Alone or Rage Face or something like that.
Yeah.
Very primitive. All right, but simple. There's something to love about simplicity.
I would agree.
Now, these days, these kids are looking at just absurd, random, wacky memes. It's the Wild West of memes out there. You got things like I eat beans, big, juicy Go-Gurts, and then some emojis. And of course, Rage Faces have now been replaced with Soy Jack memes.
It's the same thing. Yeah. Time is a flat circle.
Yeah, it's an evolution of Rage Faces. Now a little more pleasant to look at.
Right.
So we're going to take a look at like one old meme style and then one new meme style. And I'll have you, Mel, choose between the two. So one must go.
I would love to. I like when I get to interact. I like when I get to play little games on the podcast.
One must go, Mel, and you get to decide.
I love having this power in my hands. Finally, it's about time.
Yeah, whatever you decide, we are no longer allowed to reference on the show.
Oh, okay. So we're kind of pruning and calling in a way.
That's right.
What we can use as comedic.
If you decide Soy Jack memes gotta go, I don't ever want to hear a Soy Jack reference on this show ever again.
I'm liking the sound of this. Let's go. Let's do it. So I can't wait. I'm chomping at the bit. Start calling memes out.
First up, we got Chuck Norris. Good old Chuck Norris memes. Who doesn't love one of those?
Yeah, these were huge when I was a kid. When I was in middle school, because Chuck Norris, like, I don't know. It was just there's like jokes that, because a meme, not to get technical with it, but a meme is a thing outside of like the funny pictures,
right?
You know what I mean? If something is mimetic, it's passed throughout a culture by replication, repetition, and essentially like through like verbal communication. And so these early memes made a lot of sense because it was one format that you could just duplicate ad infinitum, right? And Chuck Norris was just one of those things where it's like in middle school, it's just like there's just an infinite number of these Chuck Norris jokes. I don't know why Chuck Norris was chosen as kind of like the figurehead for this, like the punchline of like, this is the manliest man of all time. But
I mean, look it up.
I mean, yeah, true, fair.
And he was on Walker, Texas Ranger. Now, I doubt most kids, like I didn't know Chuck Norris was on Walker, Texas Ranger. I didn't really know who Chuck Norris was other than he was the funny, badass guy in the meme.
Well, that's kind of the bit,
like
isn't
his
it?
Reputation preceded him, really.
Yeah, none of these kids really know who Chuck Norris is beyond the memes.
Right.
It's kind of like a reversed sort of introduction and like process of familiarity. Because like you said, when I was a kid, I had no idea what Walker Texas Ranger was,
right.
But I did know that Chuck Norris was badass and was awesome and nothing could beat him.
So if you needed to make a joke relating to manliness or toughness, you'd use Chuck Norris. You might say, Death once had a near Chuck experience. Or when Chuck Norris left for college, he told his father, "You're the man of the house now."
When I was in middle school, the big popular one at my school was that one time it was a story. It was formatted in a narrative. One time Chuck Norris was bitten by a snake, right? A venomous snake. Chuck Norris was bitten by a venomous snake. And after days of excruciating pain and agony, the snake finally died. That was the big one. That was my favorite when I was a kid. I don't know about everybody else, but that was the one I loved.
That's a good one.
And I was like, oh, I can't wait to tell somebody who's never heard this joke that I just happen to love so very much.
Now let's compare that to something more recent. And these are deep fried memes.
This was like, what, 2017, 2018 that you would say?
Something like that. But
I think there was a great sort of cultural reset when it came to these memes. We've just been using the formatted memes for so long, like the Grumpy Cat and the Bad Luck Brians, and obviously there was memes before that, but memes were getting more and more specific, more and more obscured. Like they became less formatted, less, by true definition, less of a meme. And I think this was like the great reset button before we circled back around to just normal. We went more back to it. We're essentially back to Rage comics right now.
In a way, yeah. Except with no template.
I don't love these memes. Now, I'm not going to pretend that they're devoid of value, because I think they represent a very important time in like internet humor, but they have aged essentially like horribly.
Like most memes do, yes.
I mean, but at least with like the Bad Luck Brian and the Chuck Norris stuff, at least the punchline remains relevant. Oh, this Bad Luck Brian character is just used to describe comedically unironically unfortunate circumstances. The Chuck Norris one is just, this subversion of expectations because this guy is so badass. Like these memes, everybody gangsta until the tomatoes start walking, or bruh bottom text. Those don't really remain relevant outside of the very specific context they were created in.
That's true. You could probably show your mom an old meme and she'd say, "Oh, that's funny." But you show your mom a deep fried picture of tomatoes or whatever, she won't get it.
Yeah, I mean, if I showed my mom the Chuck Norris memes that you just showed me, she would piece together the joke. Like she would get it. But this, I mean, you've got to have some like serious, like either you either had to be around on the internet at the time these came out, or you've got to have some serious kind of like knowledge and context for like what the culture on the internet was at the time to even like begin to understand these.
Right. You might not even know what you're looking at first.
Yeah, it's like post ironic.
So Mel, of the two, one must go.
I actually prefer the Chuck Norris memes, I think.
All right, just as per usual, Chuck Norris comes out on top.
I mean, I didn't even really get a lot out of these when they were popular. And now that's not to say that I didn't like think they were funny, because when I was in high school, like, yeah, fuck yeah, I thought these were funny. It was like absurdist humor. But I just think the Chuck Norris memes stand the test of time. I think that punchline will always be understood.
Well, I tried not to stack the deck all in old memes' favor, so as we move down the list, we'll see if you still feel that way. Next up, we've got cat memes, just in general.
Okay.
Cat pictures.
I love cat memes.
Cat memes. You got fucking keyboard cat, grumpy cat, long cat, every kind of cat you can imagine under the sun.
Right.
What's not to love? I mean, the internet was basically made for sharing pictures of cats and also porn.
When I was, cats and porn are really kind of the two mainstays, the two constants of the internet, if you will. I remember when I was shown Keyboard Cat, I think my cousin showed me Keyboard Cat. And I remember being like, this is like the best thing that I've ever seen, because, when all these memes were coming out, the Keyboard Cat, the Grumpy Cat, like the Chuck Norris stuff, like the Bad Luck Brian, you were probably what, in high school?
I believe so, yeah.
See, I was, I'm 23 now. And so like when all of these things were coming out, one, not only was I young, but I had essentially no sort of precedent for what the internet was supposed to be. I remember I went to my friend's house when we were young. I think we were in middle school, and the internet was kind of just like, it was just so unmoderated. And I remember going to his house, and he was like, dude, I gotta show you the funniest thing in the world. Like I have so many things to show you. And so he showed me two things that really stuck with me. One was a like super like old viral Tobuscus video
Ah.
and was like, this is so funny, look at this. And then the other was just Omegle or Omegle, whatever it's called.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, dude, isn't this the funniest shit in the world? And it was just like guys trying to find like, you know, people to masturbate with, whatever.
Right.
And I remember at the time just being like, what the fuck is going, like, what? I mean, he was cackling. He thought it was so funny. Both videos, both Omegle and the Tobuscus video, he thought were the funniest things in the world.
Mm.
And I remember just being like, I have no frame of reference for what even is supposed to be happening right now. I had limited access to the internet when I was young. My friends' houses were always where I kind of like became sort of more in the know about what was trending on the internet at the time, which was like Keyboard Cat, and I don't know, guys with their dicks out on Omegle, whatever.
Right.
But I just had no frame of reference. I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. These things, Omegle and Tobuscus, are equally crazy to me.
All right, well, let's compare cats to beans. Which are you going to choose, Mel, cats or beans?
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to choose cats because, once again, I love cat memes. I really do. But I'm going to give a little credence and credit to the beans memes. Is they kind of were a branch off of the whole absurdist thing. But I'm not going to lie, like, it was pretty funny. It was kind of like one big inside joke, you know? Because with all the absurdist shit, it's like, hey, let's see how wacky. Honestly, most of the time, it's how offensive can we get? How absurd and out there and offensive can we get? At least with the bean stuff, there was a little bit of consistency between the punchline. The punchline
is always beans.
Yeah, the punchline is always beans and how funny they are. And honestly, to give some credit to the beans meme movement, a lot of these, like, I remembered, like thinking they were funny, and even today, I kind of like, I get a little chuckle out of them. I think they're cute.
I mean, I still reference me and the boys at 2 a.m. looking for beans.
Yeah,
on a weekly basis.
I think wow, weekly, huh? that's often. But I think it kind of just felt like one big great inside joke, and so in a way, like, I do want to give some credit. It was funny.
All right, so we're gonna take cats over beans.
I'm gonna take
Fair
cats,
enough.
but it's way more of an even fight than the Chuck Norris and absurdist memes were.
Spider-Man 3 Beans Edition can't win you over.
I mean, it's pretty close. I like it.
All right, next up we have like Facebook mom meme.
Oh, dude, I love these. I love these so much,
like
man.
Boomer memes, I guess. I mean, obviously you have like the staple, which is like minion memes. Or like memes that
No, dude, the one you've got on the left here,
Uh-huh.
I fucking love these.
I survived spankings, lead paint, rusty playgrounds, secondhand smoke, yada yada yada. Drinking from the hose. Back in my day.
All of those memes are just like, I ain't no bitch like my dumb fucking kids are.
Yeah.
Back then, we used to expose ourselves to toxic chemicals on the daily.
Mm-hmm. We weren't
and
soft.
nothing bad. We weren't soft. We let abuse be normalized. I love them. It's such a superiority thing, right? And like, listen, I'm not going to pretend that younger generations never have superiority complexes against older generations, but man, it's such a superiority thing where they're like, it's like, these are the same people that are like, why should student debt be forgiven when I had to pay my student debt off?
Right.
We're not soft these days. I love these. And the minion memes are pretty funny, but I think that the minion memes are a lot more earnest. They're a lot more like genuinely just kind of like, all my life I thought air was free until I bought a bag of chips. And it's got a kind of like disappointingly surprised minion face.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just a universal experience, baby.
I mean,
we all go
I
through
feel
that.
like you could slap some of these minion memes onto old meme templates and like more people would find them funny. But because they're like such simple proto memes where the picture is not related, it makes them more primitive.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. Proto memes is beautiful. I'm 100% stealing that.
It's like they rebooted memes and they did it like very simply. It's just like funny text, slightly related funny image. But there's not like really a template to them yet. So there's not characters that exist in their memes.
It doesn't really mean like the minion being there doesn't mean anything.
Right.
It's like a visual accompaniment, but
Yeah.
like it's kind of like Subway Surfers on TikTok. Like it's there to have something to look at,
Because it could just be
but it
text.
doesn't. Yeah, it's really not additive to the text at all. You've really got me thinking about it. Why minions? Now that you've pointed out how useless they are and how much they don't matter to this image. Why did people on Facebook? I mean, was it just because they were kind of mascotty and they were already kind of? I don't know. This is really fucking me up.
I feel like minions are like the new Garfield or like Maxine or something like that.
Yeah. Huh? Who?
Exactly.
I know. I mean, no. I know who Garfield is. Let's not get misconstrued here. Let's not have any misunderstandings. Maxine.
Yeah, she's like an old cartoon old lady. You'd see things that are like, I'm old, what's your excuse? And it's a picture of Maxine. Or like, coffee, the best meal of the day. You know, that would be like a total boomer meme. Like, boomers love that shit.
Oh yeah, unlike the gift cards and shit.
Yeah, she's probably on gift cards.
Well, like kind of the same idea.
Right. And
If my body were a car, this is the time I would be thinking about trading it in for a newer model because almost every time I sneeze, cough, or sputter, either my radiator leaks or my exhaust backfires. That's gross.
old people love that shit. Yeah. They go on Facebook, they'll get that like a heart react.
Yeah, I went to a topless beach once, saw so many boobs, I thought I was at a family reunion. Whoa.
Oh, raunchy. Okay, well
Man, I hate my in-laws.
let's look at its competition here.
Oh fuck yeah.
So we're gonna compare these boomer memes to like post-humor memes or literal memes, I guess.
Oh, anti-meme.
I guess that's what you call them, yeah. Like, I'm gonna tell my kids this was Nicolas Cage, a picture of Nicolas Cage. Dad, I promise I won't get political. 5 drinks later. Dad, the weather's nice. Simple stuff like that. Total subversion.
Dude,
We've gone so deep that there's not even a joke anymore.
Yeah, dude. Listen, man. For a while, not for a while, but like, I thought the anti memes were kind of funny. Like, it happens when you just like I said, like the memes got so absurd that it circles back around to just the most plain shit of all time, just being this.
Mm-hmm. It's
I'm gonna tell my kids
it's like when people speculate, like, here's a picture of a traffic cone. Like, in 5 years, this will be the funniest thing ever. You just don't get it yet.
I might have to. Well, I might have to give it to these. I think that I think I'm gonna have to give it to the anti memes because they're so much a product of and representative of like how memes evolve.
Kinda, yeah.
Like, we progressed so far that like we're not even telling jokes anymore. There's not the punchline is that there is not one.
Yeah, I remember
and
recently
I think it's funny.
I saw a meme that was like a guy laying in bed and he says, or 11 p.m., one more YouTube video and then I'll go to sleep. And this says 11:05 p.m. and he's sleeping. And like, I laughed at that. And I was like,
it's
what?
funny.
There was literally no joke there. Like, it's so subversive. It just broke my brain. I was kind of upset with myself that I found that funny. I don't know.
That being said, I do think that the Facebook boomer memes, in like a obviously ironic way, are really funny. I think they're funny because I have a hard I like imagining the type of person that sees that and is like, hell yeah, like that's right.
Your parents.
I mean, not really. My parents are like 50, right? And I know for a fact my mom hates shit like that. Well, my mom on Facebook though shares like mom memes. You know how it's like, it's not quite a boomer meme. It's not quite as mean because boomer memes are kind of mean spirited. But my mom will share like the chain messages, right? Like, most of the time they're incredibly positive, uplifting kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But they're also overtly sappy and sentimental and corny.
Right. Old people
So
love
she's
that.
that's like, that's like a beautiful bait for her to like repost on Facebook.
I saw
the boomer memes. What's up?
I saw a political Facebook meme recently. It was like a picture of the wall and Trump near it. And it said like, building a wall doesn't mean stay out. It means use the door, legally. And then it said like, share if you agree, or it's like it came with instructions. You know, it was like a meme
Yeah,
can't just exist by itself. It
it's
has to have
always
instructions included because the old people don't get it.
well, it's always share if you agree. Share if you agree is what is I think my least favorite phrase on the internet because I will see people post shit that I agree with, and then they're like retweet to like I'll see a post. What's that one a Democrat page? Oh, I can't stand it, man. Like they'll post something that I agree with. They'll be like, Trump was an absolute buffoon in his recent debate. And I'll be like, yeah, he was 100%. And then it'll be like retweet to own Trump. What are you talking about? How is retweeting owning Trump? You just want engagement on your account.
Right.
And so now I feel, and so share if you agree, it's like, it's bait. They can't help themselves. Like where I'm from in West Virginia, all of the Facebook profiles of the people that live around here are like, I literally have a screenshot of one of here on my phone that I've had saved for years. But it's a Confederate flag JPEG stretched out to fit like a portrait mode phone. And it says, I challenge all my friends on Facebook to repost this to show that we will not back down from our heritage.
Right.
And so it's a bunch of just like we like the Confederate flag, repost if you agree. This one is this photo of Chick-fil-A honoring fallen soldiers on Memorial Day is and then in all red caps, triggering liberals, back to white caps, across social media. Let's make it go viral, share 1 million times. And so it's funny. Yeah, it's got instructions, and it's like it's so strange. Well, first of all, it's strange because the whole point of West Virginia is that we broke away from Virginia because we didn't want to be part of the Confederacy. But whatever. The point is, the point is you're right. It's like, here is this opinion, not even really a joke. Here is this opinion. Share if you agree, and if you don't share it, you're a spineless bitch with no convictions.
It's just an evolution
and so
of
it's
those chain emails.
100%, 100%.
Or they'll preface it by saying, like, got this from a friend. Well, of course you did. I don't believe you just made this meme. Of course you got this meme from somebody else. That's how it works.
Yeah, that's how memes work. That's the whole point of a meme. This is quality. This is a picture of a stock image of a mother, a father, and a son shooting hunting rifles. This is quality family time and gun control all in one. Repost because the communists at Facebook are covering up it and deleting. What are you talking about? No, they're not.
This is the future of liberal state.
Dude, it's so funny to me how, it's so funny to me how Facebook was proven to have like engaged in like some pretty like shady like political campaigns to like boost a lot of that shit. And then they get on there and they're like, the communists at Twitter are all triggered liberals silencing us.
Right.
No, you're the loudest people on the platform. Well, we're straying away from the main point here. Boomer memes are very funny and I love them.
Okay, let's get into our main feature.
I would love to.
Dead games.
Main feature, like we just watched a B film.
I mean, I've always had a main feature. We've got our opening warm-up conversation.
I know, but just the way you phrased it, you know, it's like we just watched a B noir, and now we're gonna watch the real movie that we can.
This is the real movie.
This is the real movie,
and it's about dead games.
I can't wait. I love talking bad on people who do things that I would never be capable of doing. I love sitting from my office chair and being like, these fucking dumbasses released a game that didn't succeed. I would have done much better.
Well, hopefully you could have the foresight to maybe understand what an audience wants and what not to make and what not to invest in. Hopefully.
I know what gamers want. But the woke left doesn't want to admit it.
Let's not get into any more of the woke left because we're going to have to touch on that a little bit.
Okay. All right. I won't talk about the woke left yet.
So, Concord. It was
fucking woke game. Sorry, my bad. It took in the spirit of I don't know. I was gonna name like a notably like right-leaning gamer media thing. I couldn't think of any. Just pretend that I said something really funny.
This game failed because it was too woke, obviously. So the Sony spent $100 million on this game. It was in development for 8 years. It was supposed to be the next big thing. Obviously, everybody wants to have the next big thing.
Well, yeah, but when you invest this much time and money, like you kind of have to have it be the next big thing,
right? Yeah, you can't really afford for something like this to fail. Unfortunately,
no, I feel really awful. for this team.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing. If they made a bad, and like I didn't play it, but let's just go off the basis that the game is not great quality. If they made a bad game, like that's one thing. Sure. Obviously nobody should feel forced or compelled to play a bad game. But I mean, if I worked on something, right, for 8 years, almost a decade, and $100 million was invested into this project that I was working on, it launches and it does so bad that less than a month later, it's recalled and refunded. Like, at what point do you not just end it? Like, that has got to be crushing, dude. I mean, that has got to feel like I mean, how do you cope with that sort of failure? Like, actually, like, seriously, how do you cope with that?
Well, you got to accept that's not your fault, because it's not the developer's fault this game failed.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, you could say, I mean, listen, I don't believe that the game failed because it was like the woke game or whatever. I don't really care about that. Games with predominantly like leftist ideologies have been incredibly successful. Look at like Disco Elysium, whatever. But I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's just, I don't want to call it bad luck, but the game was just apparently, allegedly not good. And 8 years of development and $100 million has got to be maybe the biggest like failure in gaming history. Like, actually.
Yeah, I think it's up there. So I'll just lay out
like,
the facts.
I cannot.
And then we'll talk about why
Lay
it
out the
failed.
facts.
So it launched August 23rd this year. They had estimated sales of only 25,000. It peaked at less than 700 players on Steam, and it was shut down and refunded on September 6th, giving it a lifespan of about 2 weeks. And this was obviously supposed to be a live service game that would go on for years and years and years, and they had all this stuff planned, like story cutscenes every week, and, you know, the sky was the limit. Obviously, the problem is nobody really wanted this game, I suppose. I mean, why did it fail? Well, first of all, it's $40. I mean, in a market like this, you kind of have to make your game free because you're competing with every other free hero shooter. I mean, why does somebody want to come and pay $40 to play your unproven game when every other game that you're competing with is free?
Yeah, and you know, that's the thing, is where you look at these games, and because, you know, like I said, you can come up with a whole bunch of reasons. Oh, it's woke, it's whatever. But I think honestly, like, bringing up the point of like market saturation is 100% like a much large. I mean, the game could have been good.
I mean,
and if it was trying to fill a niche that already existed,
right? You can't enter like a super saturated field and then cost $40 where everyone else is free.
Actually, last episode, or 1 or 2 episodes ago, we talked about Marvel's Hero Shooter, right? And how that was it was proving to look like it was going to be a great success because it was filling the niche that Overwatch was losing grasp on.
Right.
It's kind of like that. Like, they understood kind of like where they could fit in, how their puzzle piece fitted into the greater picture, or fit into the greater picture. I think with a game like this, is it didn't really meet a demand. The game didn't necessarily, like, it wasn't something gamers were wanting, I guess.
Well,
and
I mean, had this game been free, maybe it could have been.
And I mean, maybe it would give it a better chance. I mean, people are so used to free games now. I mean, paying $40 for, you know, Hero Shooter number 7, or getting, is Overwatch free now?
It is.
Yeah, getting Overwatch for free. And listen, Overwatch has had some changes that a lot of people disagree with. I get it. There's a lot of changes that Overwatch has made that I disagree with. But Overwatch being a free game is huge.
Right. I mean,
it's been around for.
You can play Apex Legends or Valorant or anything else like that.
Yeah,
free.
Making a hero shooter not free is just, I mean, you're just going against the grain at that point.
Exactly.
People are so used to free games with microtransactions. Companies have built entire business models around how Epic Games made Fortnite so successful, because Fortnite was like the game that was free with massive profitability. And so that's just kind of like how casual, like, multiplayer shooters have what they've turned into. The game is free. and the companies profit greatly off of microtransactions. So if you're coming out here with an original IP, not based off it, with an original IP for $40, trying to fit into a market where every other game has been around for a decade and free, it's just, unfortunately, it's just not going to work. It wasn't because of woke. There was a lot of things, and obviously with the state of gaming, like maybe the game presenting more left-leaning idea. I don't even know if it does. I mean, I'm just going with what I've been told. But even if the game does present like left-leaning ideologies, yeah, there's a bunch of gamers who are petty and won't buy a game because it's woke or whatever. There's no way in hell that is the main reason.
Right. I mean, there's only a few hundred people played this game, and it's not because everybody else was turned off by the wokeness. I mean, it's because this game is like poorly marketed and it's really generic. It doesn't have that special zing that makes you want to quit your current game and play this one, pay $40 for this game. Like, a lot of people probably didn't even really know it was coming out until it was already like in the dumps.
I first heard about this game hearing about its monumental failure.
Exactly.
And the thing is like, there is a market for, and I'm using the term just the way other people use it here. There's a big market for woke games, woke media, right?
Sure.
There are tons of IPs that are not only proudly presenting left-leaning ideologies, but the whole point of the property is like the allegory and messaging there is politically driven, is driven by left-leaning ideology. And those games and movies and shows and books are immensely popular, right? So there is a market for that kind of thing. So I have a hard time believing that is like what killed the game.
Right, especially when Overwatch 2 and Apex Legends are still so successful.
Yeah, and I started playing Deadlock, right?
Well, we have Deadlock here.
Okay,
That's the
let's
next
talk
point, because it's weird that this game failed while Deadlock is also a hero shooter, basically has no marketing. It's in a closed alpha on one platform, the PC, and just this month it hit its peak player count of 171,000. Now, where's the difference here? What happened?
Well, I think that at least getting it off the ground, it's from Valve. Valve is, a massive company. They are known for producing high quality games, and they're known for producing a small amount of games. So of course, any new game from them is going to get a lot of traction.
Well, Concord was by Sony.
I think in the gaming industry, Valve has a bit of there's a bit of a mythic allure to Valve.
Yeah.
Valve, they're a private company. They're very secretive about the process of their game development. And they're very sparse on information released. So there's kind of like this allure of mystery to when they release a new title. That being said, the game is free.
Mm-hmm. That's a big one.
It is a MOBA, and not only do people love MOBAs, there's just not really a whole lot of super popular ones.
I don't know League of Legends been like a proper third-person shooter MOBA.
No, I mean, League of Legends is massive. It's, fucking huge. And, there's other games like Dota or whatever. But I think that this is, for a lot of gamers, this is not a replacement of the games that they're currently playing. Like, for example, competitively at least, I pretty much only played Counter-Strike for 8 years, and then I did play a shit ton of Overwatch as well. But those were the only Overwatch and Counter-Strike are the only two games that for an extended period of time I have played competitively and really gotten into the community and the mechanics in the game. So if you're not a hardcore League of Legends player, there's a pretty big chance that you don't really have any MOBAs that are super relevant to your life, because League of Legends is kind of the big one.
Right.
And so when you have a third-person shooter MOBA that comes out, to a lot of people, that is fresh, that is new. And I think that, as you've pointed out here, I think it is a bit of a less saturated market to kind of get your foot in the door.
Right. It is still like a hero shooter game, but it's also very much a MOBA, which And I feel like this combination is not super saturated. Like you have games like Smite,
Yeah.
but they still play like third-person MOBAs. They have like the gameplay is more of a MOBA rule set, whereas this kind of feels
I
like
was
Overwatch or something on a MOBA map.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised to honestly, I was pretty surprised to see because when it was announced like what the game was and how it would play and what it would look like, I was a little concerned because I had the thought like is like I love Valve, but like is this needed?
Mhm.
Um but one small thing that I was pretty surprised with was the originality of the playable heroes. There's a lot of really cool designs that like I feel like are fresh and exciting and new. And like that obviously has nothing to do with like the mechanics or gameplay of the actual game. But I really love how the characters look. I think they have really cool designs.
That's true. Yeah, stylistically, this game is different from kind of like a futuristic game or like a fantasy game. Like this.
It's kind of like transatlantic almost.
Yeah, it's like set in New York, and like the map is a proper city, with skyscrapers and stuff. I think that's probably the coolest thing about it.
Yeah, I think visually and aesthetically, it's already and like the game is so early. I mean, the game is in closed testing right now.
Yeah, it's already
and sure,
good.
it's got a shit ton of players.
Yeah.
But it is in closed testing, super early build, and it's already pretty polished. It's already pretty refined, at least in terms of mechanics and gameplay.
Kind of looks ugly.
Visually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, visually the game doesn't look great, but it's not supposed to. I don't even really care about that.
Right.
But this for a game to be this early into its development and already play so well, that is incredibly promising. And I'm not even like a huge gamer like that, but it's really cool to see. And I think that Valve has just maintained this precedent for such a long time that it's nice to kind of see it further perpetuated with Deadlock.
So let me guess, Mel, you play Vindicta?
Shit, which one is that?
The blue sniper?
No, I have played very little of the game. I see if I knew there was a sniper, that's who I would have played because I love playing snipers.
I thought so.
No, I played the prisoner electric guy.
Right. 7.
I played as him. And I thought that was cool. I thought he had some cool, but no, I have not played it. I mean, it's funny. I've had access to the closed beta for a long time now, and I've had it for like a couple months, and I played my first game like this week.
Yeah, I mean, I just got into it recently, and I'm pretty hooked on it right now.
Yeah, no, dude. I mean, and like part of me doesn't want to like have to bother learning a new competitive game, right? That's why I played Counter-Strike for so long. It was just what I knew. It was consistent. I liked the mechanics. It was straightforward. And even with Overwatch, like, Overwatch, I can't imagine what it's like to get in. Like, I can't remember what it's like to get into Overwatch. Like, I can't imagine getting into Overwatch now because all the mechanics and metas and techs are so ingrained in my head that it comes as like second nature when I'm playing.
Right.
But with Deadlock, I played with Swain. And I felt like a fish out of fucking water, dude. I felt so out of my element.
Yeah, I mean, the first VRs are pretty intimidating, but
I was reminded of what it's like to start learning a new competitive game.
It's worth it, though.
Man, it's worth it. I was intimidated. Like it was a lot. But I think it'll honestly like I said, not that I'm a massive gamer to begin with. But I think that it honestly will probably take off. I think this game will be fucking huge. And I think that it'll have a pretty incredible longevity. I mean, look at Counter-Strike. Valve came up with a competitive shooter fucking 25 years ago, and it's just like persisted.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the future of Deadlock. Not so much looking forward to the future of Concord.
Well, there's no future, so...
Well, who knows? They might bring it back. Now it's free to play. It's this Concord 2.0, baby.
Dude, Sony does not want to pay to keep those servers online.
They can
make that game free to play.
And right here, they're going to bring it back. Like I say, we put too much money into this, so they already have cutscenes done for like the next 2 months.
I like this idea of. I like this idea of just like them refusing to let Concord die. Like that's the one thing that like they just like sink all their money into to keep it alive.
So something interesting, Epic Games did. They had a game called Paragon, which was, it was a third-person MOBA. And that game failed. But what they did is they just put out the assets for free, and they just let other people make their own game with Paragon assets.
That's really cool. It's like recycling.
Yes. So there have been a couple different MOBA games that were just reused Paragon assets. Like I played one called Predecessor for a few months, and it's not bad.
That's kind of cool,
but
though.
Just a totally different studio picked up all their assets and kind of picked up where they left off. So who knows? I feel like, is Deadlock going to do something similar? Are they going to reuse the Deadlock IP and characters in a different way? It could be interesting.
I think that Deadlock's incredibly short lifespan, and the amount of money and time that was put into it, I could very much see those assets being flipped.
Sorry, did I say Deadlock? I meant to Concord, but yeah.
Oh no! You said Concord. I accidentally said Deadlock, but no, Concord. Those assets being flipped, I 100% see it. 100%. It's not like anybody even recognizes what they are.
I don't know any of the characters' names or anything, because that's how poorly it was marketed.
Yeah, if you show me two like player models and it's like which one is from Concord, I would just have to flip a coin.
I was gonna do that for this episode too. I was gonna make up a fictional hero and then do one from like a dead game and be like, which is the real one? Which is one I just made up?
Yeah, so I have two characters here, both just nondescript hero shooters. One of them is named Phantom, but with an F instead of a PH, and the other is just named like 13. Which one of these is from the hero shooter that we're discussing?
That's tough.
It's like, I have no idea.
I was going to draw Viscus on you, but since you already play Deadlock, you'd know him. But he's just so ridiculous that you'd say that's fake.
Honestly, you probably still could have convinced me that it was fake.
Okay, let's take a look at not Grand Theft Auto. I got ahead of myself. Red Dead Redemption Online.
Is Red Dead Online 2 dead?
Yeah. I mean, it's still online. Wow. Like the servers are up still, but the game's pretty dead, which is crazy. So
that actually was the appeal ever its online mode though?
Maybe not, but this is made by Rockstar, who made the most appealing, profitable game of all time, Grand Theft Auto 5.
This is true.
And its online service. But that's kind of like a double-edged sword because that's so successful, anything that's not as successful as that gets the short end of the stick, and that's what happened here.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's what happens when you kind of have a property that's too big to fail. Like Epic Games had...
That's why Paragon died, because of Fortnite.
And Epic Games pretty much dropped everything else for Fortnite. And it was the best. It was a good idea. Fortnite
financially
is not only Fortnite is not only a good game, but is essentially a cash cow that has not slowed down. And like for example, like the whole Fortnite Save the World, like PvE waves game mode. That was the main game mode. Right. The Battle Royale was I remember Funhouse about 7 or 8 years ago. I think it was probably 8 years ago. They were sponsored by Epic Games to do a pre-release gameplay of Fortnite. And in their gameplay, they played the Save the World mode. They fought against zombies, and that was what Fortnite sponsored them to play, or Epic Games sponsored them to play. That game mode is nothing.
And then PUBG came out.
Yeah.
Changed the world.
And, I can see this, I can 100% believe that despite being a popular game, Red Dead 2 Online is fucking just not, it's just a ghost town because GTA 5, 11 years later is still a very popular game.
Right. It's hard for them to prioritize the cowboy game when their other game is still doing so well. It's much easier to put stuff over there, make new content for that, than it is for this game that's not doing quite as hot. And I think
and also you can put...
Yeah, one of the big problems is in GTA, you can sell cars to people. And the ceiling for that is super high. In Red Dead, I mean, what can you sell to people at an aftermarket thing? Like, your horse can only be so fast.
Horses. And,
like, your guns can only be so advanced. So you're actually kind of limited on like after purchase spending, like
that being said, I don't think it really is a concern for them.
No,
I don't think obviously if I was Rockstar, I would want the Red Dead servers to be active as long as I could get them to, as long as they were profitable. But I mean, I just don't see a decreased player time spent on Red Dead 2 Online. I don't see that really being a huge problem for Rockstar, considering how big GTA is. Like, I don't think that's really going to hurt them financially too much.
That's why it's so easy for them to cut it loose.
Pretty much, yeah.
Which is unfortunate because a lot of people were hoping this would be the next GTA Online. And everybody wanted to live out their cowboy fantasy.
But for the reasons you pointed out, I just don't think that it was ever going to be that. And you can't really, like, you know, it's kind of hard to replicate, you know, the most successful game of all time next to Minecraft and Tetris.
Right.
Like, you can't really just do that twice. Nobody expects them to. Like, you know, obviously GTA 6 will be huge, you know, just off name alone. But, like, I think a lot of people are expecting GTA 6 to be the exact same, if not greater, cultural phenomenon that GTA 5 was. And I would be okay with it just being an amazing game.
It'll be bigger. That's my prediction.
I mean, in terms of size, yeah.
I mean, I think it's just going to be I mean, if we look at GTA 5, which is already fantastic, and then compare that to Red Dead 2, the single player, I mean, and then imagine like a 10-year gap between 5 and 6. Like, my expectations are very, very high.
No, don't get me wrong. My expectations are huge, but I think that people might underestimate how difficult it is, how difficult it's going to be. And listen, GTA 6 has an insane amount of hype, right? Generated. It's been over a decade since GTA 5 came out. But that's kind of the thing, is like, at what point does the anticipation become immeasurable? Like, there's no way you could feasibly meet it because people's expectations have been built so high that they're unmatchable. I have no doubt in my mind that GTA 6 will be a record-breaking, incredible game that sticks around for years and years and years to come. But I just think that the success of GTA 5 is so hard to replicate. I mean, honestly, a large part of the success of GTA 5 is due in part to GTA 6 not being a thing.
That's true.
You know, 7 years later, that's still the only option for that kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that expectations are tricky, and if focused on too much, then like, they'll never be met. They'll never be satisfied.
That's true. I still think this game's going to be the next
GTA
coming
6,
of Jesus. It's going to be the game to end all games.
So.
I'm going to quit my job and just live in GTA 6 full time.
I mean, dude, listen, I hope so. You know, I hope and you know, by the time it comes out, maybe we'll have some sort of technology that can kind of, you know, sustain you. And that way you can just live out your criminal underworld fantasy forever.
Absolutely.
GTA 6, they put you in the game. It's like Ready Player One or Sword Art Online. If you die in GTA 6, you die in real life.
Those are my expectations, yes.
Well, I hope they're met for your sake.
All right, lastly, let's talk about The Culling 2. So this came out, right? Exactly. This came out July 10th, 2018, which is about that time when a little game called PUBG came out.
Right.
Or
bad timing.
Maybe I did my research wrong. No, I didn't.
Uh-oh.
Okay. The original Culling was like, it's fine. It was a good game. People liked it. Then when PUBG came out, that's when they dropped The Culling 2 to capitalize on PUBG and that Battle Royale success. This game got 250 peak players.
No.
And within 40 hours of the game, you know, it dropped down to one person. There's one person in this Battle Royale game.
Wow.
Literally unplayable.
Yeah,
8
no,
days
you
later,
can't. You can't.
8 days later, they shut it down. This is like an even shorter life than Concord.
Well, what was the budget, though?
Yeah. I mean, this is like a super shoddy game. This wasn't like a long development, high development cost
they just
game.
tried to rush it out to just capitalize.
Yes, they saw the success of these other Battle Royale games. They said, people like The Culling, right? Well, let's get The Culling 2, which is going to be more similar to these games that are popular and print free money.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted that, because why should I play The Culling 2 when Fortnite and PUBG are already there?
Yeah, why would I? Because that's the thing is when you have two battle royales, you're just gonna pick one to play all the time.
Right.
You're not gonna swap back and forth.
Maybe. But I mean, if you want your
Well, some
game
people do.
to succeed in a market like that, you got to have a unique or better experience. Like Apex
Yeah.
Legends, I'll bring it up again. That game came after PUBG and Fortnite, but it's got a cool new setting. It's got like the 3-player teams. It's got a bunch of unique and cool shit that people like.
Like I think if you just make it different enough, people gravitate towards it as a unique experience. Like you said, like there is a couple tweaks that Apex made it that unique experience. Like I don't know. I don't know. I think it's really hard for me to play games like Apex or PUBG or even Fortnite. And I think Fortnite's a fine game. It's hard for me to play them for long periods of time. Like I can't do that repetition. But the reason these games are successful is because they have kind of like one set of things that makes them stand out from the rest of them. And essentially we're at a point where without that, your game will not succeed.
Right.
It needs to be. So like if a game comes out that in every way is just a worse PUBG, which game are people going to play?
Exactly.
They're just going to play PUBG. And like I remember when PUBG came out, it wasn't that good of a game. The game was buggy as shit. So,
but it
offered
like, a unique gameplay experience.
Yeah, and so I'm just saying, like, I don't know. It's just like if your game is a worse version of that, who the fuck would play it?
Right. Yeah, this isn't like when a movie comes out, like Kung Fu Panda, and then you make the little panda fighter and try to sell that. Because if you want to make a knockoff game, Rush went out to capitalize on something. It needs to like maintain people and be engaged with for a long period of time. It's not like a one and done, like, I'll check out the culling and I'll just spend $60 in there while I'm there and then leave the next day. That doesn't really happen. Like, you need your game to hook people in, and a large audience too. And yeah, the Culling 2 is not even. There was plenty of other battle royale games that were rushed out during this time. That just died on arrival.
Pandemic.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. We've got 2 small topics to wrap up the show.
Okay.
First of which is, well, Linkin Park revival.
Yes.
Linkin Park is back with a new singer, Emily Armstrong. And this kind of just prompts us. Now, we're going to put all of Emily's personal stuff aside.
It's messy.
And we're just going to discuss, like, how should bands go about replacing their deceased members?
I actually have a hot take about this.
Yeah.
People say, well, they should just preserve the legacy of the band, and they should just start a new band.
Okay.
Why?
That's fair.
Here's the thing. Chester Bennington, irreplaceable, right? Incredibly talented performer. He was such an amazing member of Linkin Park. He wasn't even a founding member, but he was such an integral member after his joining. That being said, I don't think that getting new members of a band to fill, like, if you had to just make a new band every time you wanted to replace an important member, I mean, did you know how many fucking bands would just have ceased to exist, like, over time? I mean, look at a band like Swans. Look at a band like Nucleus, where over the years there's been like literal dozens of members, but
were any of them the front man?
So no, Gira has been a part of every, but I mean, Mike Shinoda's still there. Right. It's not like it's not like a ship of Theseus where the whole fucking band is different, or like the heart of it is different. And I get that Chester sang the songs. Like I said, he's irreplaceable, but I just hate this idea of, oh, you should preserve the legacy of the band and start a new one. That doesn't make any sense to me. Why not just continue the band just kind of like in a new form, in a new era, and of that band's sound and goals? It's
like Sublime with Rome.
Yeah, it kind of seems a little counterintuitive to start a whole new band. If Sublime wants to continue on without their lead singer and just have his son step in, that's still Sublime. It's still the band. It's just got a different singer. I mean, think about Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd, one of the most famous fucking. If Pink Floyd would have just ended because their singer left, or their I don't know if it's their singer or their guitarist, but like because of one of their founding members left or most famous members left, then there's so many Pink Floyd records we would have never gotten.
Sure.
But they replaced him with an equally fucking brilliant songwriter, and it worked out. I just can't imagine what would have happened if Pink Floyd have ended because they wanted to preserve the legacy of the band.
Well, see, it's a little different because Chester didn't just leave the band; he died.
I know, but
like,
I'm
just saying,
there is
a legacy there to preserve, right?
But I don't think that new members and new records are necessarily tarnishing that legacy. Those
maybe
old
not,
records,
but maybe you could argue that
and
just leave it alone, just hands off. Okay.
I mean, I get that, and I respect that for sure, but it's the band themselves saying they'd like to move on and create new records as Linkin Park. Mm-hmm. Like,
that's their right.
If Mike Shinoda and company, the people that presumably knew Chester Bennington better than anybody, think that it is an appropriate course of action to continue on without him, still under the Linkin Park mantle, with a new singer. If the people closest to him in his life think that is an appropriate course of action, who am I to tell them that they are wrong? I think these things are case-by-case bases for sure. And I think that there are a lot of circumstances where you could make a very compelling argument that the continuation of a band kind of does like tarnish their image. I think it's pretty hard. I think you'd have to do some pretty heinous shit to tarnish a legacy. Like, people are like, oh, Metallica have ruined their legacy. No, they haven't. Master of Puppets still exists. Ride the Lightning still exists. You can go listen to those records now.
Right.
So I don't think that making bad music or replacing band members ruins their legacy, because I think that people maybe conflate that with ruining their image. Sure, Metallica's got a lesser image these days because they keep pumping out cut and paste records. And, maybe the inclusion of Emily Armstrong tarnishes Linkin Park's image in a lot of fans' eyes because they view it as a replacement of Chester Bennington. But I would hardly say that it tarnishes their legacy, that it disrupts the preservation of that older music. It's very much still there. The sort of cult followings that it garnered are still there. You can go listen to that music. You don't have to listen to the Emily Armstrong Linkin Park.
Right.
Like, that's an option. But that being said, I do understand that I'm being pretty starkly black and white here, and I do very much understand that perspective of let it rest. Chester Bennington passed away, and I think that preserving his legacy with just ending the band and starting a new one, in my mind, is the most appropriate course of action. I get that. But I don't know. I got intense about it, but I understand that other perspective.
Right. It's not as if Chester's the only member of the band. There are other members that are Linkin Park,
which I think is something to consider.
Right. And I mean, I think this is a little bit softer because Mike Shinoda is also the front man and the mastermind behind Linkin Park. So the fact that he's still in the band and he's still fronting the band, I think is like, it kind of softens the whole replacing Chester. And Emily is not a replacement for Chester. Like, sure, she's the new singer, but she's not like, I'm Chester now, Like, somebody has to sing.
It's like, we're the same thing.
Right. Now, okay, what do you feel about, should Linkin Park be getting up on stage and doing old songs with Emily?
Yeah, sure.
Like, if they want to continue, should they not just say, hey, there's going to be a new Linkin Park album with a new singer? That, we're going to leave the old legacy alone. We're going to make new music as Linkin Park, though.
Well, I would imagine that, a couple of different things, I guess. One, I would imagine people going to see them live would hate to only hear new material, especially considering that Linkin Park by this point is a legacy band. Mm-hmm. So like going to see Linkin Park and not hearing their greatest hits, no matter who's singing the singing parts, I feel like would kind of feel a little weird. I remember I saw Gorillaz in Chicago, and they didn't perform Feel Good Inc., right? And I remember just that feeling so odd. Like, I was like, why? Why not?
Just felt blue-balled.
Yeah, I really did. The encore, like, they came out for the encore, and the encore also was not, when I realized the encore was not Feel Good Inc., I was just like, that's strange. That's like their big hit. And, there was a lot of contention in this topic when it comes to what's the Alkaline Trio guy's name? Matt something?
I don't know.
But the Alkaline Trio guy joined Blink-182 in Tom's absence. And I went and saw them live with what is his name? But anyways, I saw Blink-182 without Tom. And Alkaline Trio guy sang all of Tom's parts. And it was weird. And I knew that it was wrong. But at the end of the day, I was happy to see Mark Hoppus and Travis Barker performing live. And, the other guy wasn't so bad either, whatever. And so I understand that it can kind of feel awkward and take some getting used to see Millie Armstrong or anybody singing the parts of a past band member, especially if they're deceased. But, a lot of those bands that have been around for decades, when they tour, they play their greatest hits for a reason. And even with new members, I think people would rather hear kind of uncanny versions of those greatest hits than not hear them at all. Like when I saw Blink-182, they had just released California, and I was so much happier to hear Alkaline Trio guy singing Tom DeLonge's parts. And I was so much more excited for that than I was hearing him sing any of his original parts for the California record.
Yeah.
And so, and that's just my personal experience, but yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to. Now, if the old singer is still alive and is like, I can't stand that they're singing what I wrote, maybe it's a different situation. Like I said, I think these things, a lot of the time, it's tough to generalize. They rely on a case-by-case basis.
Right, it is. And I won't say one is right or wrong or whatever. I think it's kind of tough and it's interesting. I mean...
And what do I know? I was never a huge Linkin Park fan to begin with.
I mean, Linkin Park could have kind of just dashed this whole thing and said, hey, we've got a new band with some of the members of Linkin Park and our new singer, Emily Armstrong.
Yeah, it's our new band.
Now, we're not going to play old Linkin Park songs because we're not Linkin Park anymore. But anyway, there's going to be new music with all your buddies Mike Shinoda and the gang.
Linkin Park with Emily is the name of the band.
They could have done that too. Yeah. It's hard to say. But anyway, I like Emily. I think she's a great singer. I watched the live set. I think she did a great job. And I think they could make good music together in the future. So I'm not upset about that.
I know there's been a whole lot of weird ups and downs with kind of her insane press run that's been happening recently.
Sure.
With people defending and attacking and defending and attacking. But putting all of that aside, because that's not really what we're here to talk about to begin with, I think she's a fine singer. I think she sounds good.
Mm-hmm. All right, lastly, PS5 Pro. It's been officially announced.
God.
The worst kept secret. So, what do we get with the PS5 Pro? We got a 2 terabyte SSD. That's double the storage of the current one. You get PSSR upscaling, improved ray tracing, 45% faster GPU. That's pretty good.
That's pretty nice. That's pretty good.
But there's no CPU upgrade. There's no disk drive. And there's no stand. And what are you going to pay for all this?
Hold on. What do you mean no stand?
Well, there's a little piece of plastic you put under it when it's standing vertically, and it's not included. They couldn't throw that in?
You can't... Can you lay it on its side? Can you do that?
You need a stand for that, too.
Wait, hold on. You're telling... Okay, hold on. Okay. So you cannot lay it vertically or horizontally without the stand.
So you can lay it vertically without a stand. It's just not very safe. Your cat will knock it over. And you can't lay it horizontally without it wobbling all over the place.
What the fuck?
So you're going to have to buy a stand if you want it securely.
It's probably a piece of plastic that costs 30 cents to manufacture.
But it costs $30 to buy.
Listen, you could make an argument for no disk drive purely because digital games are what's significantly more popular right now. Listen, I think the getting rid of the disk drive is fucking abhorrent. But that aside, you can make an argument for it not having a disk drive. You can say, well, this percentage of our customers buy digital games, and we think that, it's not even worth it to manufacture a disk drive because, so many people, like, I can see that argument being made by Sony executives. No stand is just mean.
It's true. And for $700, No disk
It's a
drive.
lot of money. Consoles used to be like $300, $400.
Mm-hmm. I
And
mean,
even that was a lot,
inflation exists.
I know, but still, like, $700 is so much fucking money, dude. Like,
I mean, that being
oh
said,
god, it's
the
just so
PlayStation
much.
3 was like, I mean, adjusted for inflation, it was like this. It cost the same.
Well, I mean, yeah, adjusted for inflation, fucking Nintendo, like, NES games used to cost like $90.
Right.
But
So this is expensive, but it's not unheard of.
But I do think that I do think that maybe that the inflation argument kind of subverts the core issue, which is, wow, that's a lot of money to pay for a video game console.
That's true. Yes.
But I don't know. Hey, listen, man, I'm a PC gamer, so I guess I don't really have a dog in this fight, especially considering my PC costs over double the PS5.
Well, surely your PC has like double the functionality.
Yeah. I mean, my PC's got 1,000 times more functionality than a PlayStation 5 does. But not everybody's asking for that though. Not everybody wants
to be a content creator.
Gaming. Yeah, not everyone wants a gaming system and video editing software and music editing software and web browser and I get it. I understand.
But if you're going to pay that much money, you could do that. That'd be nice, right?
Yeah. You know what still works to a impressive degree?
What's that?
My Xbox One.
Yeah, PlayStation 4 too.
Yeah. My Xbox One is 11 years old, I think.
And you can play a good majority of games on there.
I played the new Persona on.
Yeah.
Persona 3 Reload. I played it, and and I'm not gonna pretend like my Xbox One is perfect. Like, it stutters, it's slow, it's a fucking decade-old console. But it still works.
Well,
so if you want me to pay $700 for a PlayStation 5, okay, so it came out in November 2013. So my Xbox One is almost a decade old.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of the problem, is that this generation hasn't really started. I feel like we haven't got that many games that are like, well, you need to play them on the new current console. Not only that, you need to upgrade your console to play these games, because no, you don't.
Well, I get that it's like a meme that the PlayStation 5 doesn't have any games, but when you look at noteworthy original titles that make that console worth picking over the other one, there doesn't really seem to be a lot of them for a new version of the console to be coming out.
Right.
Like, I don't know, when the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 came out, like, it was monumental. Like, it was such a massive deal. And the console wars, I guess, were still a thing more than they are now. But I feel like the Xbox One Series S and the PlayStation 5, when they came out, they kind of, like, it's almost like they didn't really matter, because we were like, there was nothing about them that was necessarily appealing over their predecessors.
Right. There were very few games that you had to play them on the current generation. And still to this day, there are not that many.
Yeah. I mean, doesn't it kind of feel like the PlayStation 5 came out like last year?
Right, exactly. And the PlayStation 5 still fucking bangs. Like, I don't even feel the need to upgrade, because there's no game that has justified the upgrade. And everything I'm playing on PlayStation 5 right now already looks and runs like really well. Like, I don't have complaints.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, yeah. Don't get me wrong, the PlayStation 5 is a powerful console. It really is. But what about it? Like, what about the PlayStation 5 is like, you know what? It's good, but I need the Pro.
Right.
Like, I have a PlayStation 5, but I need to upgrade.
I don't think any game is justifying that right now.
Yeah, okay, so the PlayStation 5 came out in 2020.
Right.
So it's been almost, it's in like a month or two. It's going to be 4 years since it came out.
But even for the first couple of years of a new generation, like, games are cross-gen. Like, a lot of these games you can still play on PS4.
Yeah. I guess maybe the idea is maybe you really cement the console like a couple years later. And like, when the older console starts to become obsolete, that's when you really, like, you hammer in how important the PlayStation 5 is.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been long enough, I think.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, maybe this could come out next year with GTA 6, or maybe even after that.
I mean, That makes more sense.
Yeah. Because when they unveiled this thing, they didn't really give you a reason to buy it. They said, here's a bunch of old games, and now they look better. You can run them faster. But there's really, like, you can still play all those games very well
I'm so tired.
on the PS5.
I'm so tired. I'm so tired of the graphics fidelity conversation. I don't give a shit. Games look the best they ever will. I don't. If you're telling me, if you're saying, look at our new advanced graphics, they look the same.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mel.
The
future, like the technological push right now, I think, is not making games look better, but making good-looking games run more easily. And that's why...
That's a better goal.
Yes, and that's why you get technologies like DLSS on PC, and the new PlayStation has their machine learning upscaling, which is going to make the game run better without making, it quite so taxing. And I feel like that's the technology right now. Like, how can we make, Horizon Forbidden West, the most beautiful game in the world, run like super smooth?
They could run the most beautiful game in the world, Horizon Forbidden West, run super smooth, and still nobody would be playing it.
Sure.
That's not even a dig on the game's quality, but I don't know. I'm just tired of companies being like, look how good our graphics looked. I truly believe that video game graphics peaked with Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Like, all games that come out today look like Advanced Warfare to me.
Yeah. That's fair. So, I can't say I agree, but that's fair.
I don't know, man. Some of those cutscenes look nice.
That's true.
And I get it. Cutscenes are pre-rendered. I get it. But
well, I don't know. Graphics these days they're definitely more iterative. Like, the changes are smaller, and that's why people have such a problem right now, because you show side by side PS4 or PS5, PS5 Pro, and it's like, what's the difference?
It's just like, I'm not impressed by graphics fidelity. I know that you can make a game look realistic. I know that is possible, and it has happened a lot. I am way more impressed by original ideas and smooth mechanics.
Right. And I think a lot of people...
But whatever, my favorite fucking game series is Persona, so what the fuck do I know?
It's got great art and good story.
Yeah, it does. That's true.
That's all
I don't
you
need to shit on my own game series. That's all you need, baby, is a great story and good art.
And on that note, this has been The Long Couch. We will see you at some point in the future.
Eventually.
Bye.
Bye-bye.